Have you ever noticed that whether it's you or an elder at home, you always wake up suddenly from your sleep in the middle of the night, especially around 3 o'clock in the early morning? Without being able to control it, you might have lain in bed tossing and turning, murmuring to yourself, "Could there be something wrong with my body? Or is this just a mark of aging?" Today, I would like to discuss this issue with you, exploring why many middle-aged and elderly people tend to wake up at this specific time and what hidden secrets lie behind it that we are not easily aware of. When it comes to sleep issues, many people first think of the wondrous hormone called melatonin. In fact, melatonin is like a night shift worker in our body, responsible for orchestrating the alternation between sleep and wakefulness. When we are young, melatonin is secreted regularly and abundantly, allowing us to fall asleep almost in the blink of an eye at night and enjoy a night full of sweet dreams. However, as we age, this hormone gradually decreases until it reaches a certain critical point, around 3 in the early morning, for example, when its concentration suddenly drops, resulting in you waking up and finding it nearly impossible to return to that deep sleep state. Imagine that you might feel a sudden chill during the night or suddenly experience heavy eyelids. Yet no matter what, you just can't slip back into dreamland. This does not mean that there is a serious problem with your sleep. Rather, it is your body quietly reminding you that the efficient night shift of your youth is no longer in effect, replaced by a natural phenomenon adjusted by your metabolism. At the same time, the ambient light environment at night may also play a role. For instance, if you're in the habit of watching TV or scrolling on your phone before sleep, these blue light emissions will interfere with the secretion of melatonin, further weakening your ability to maintain deep sleep. There is a friend, Mr. Smith, who, after retiring, always thought his sleep quality was fine. However, he recently began waking up involuntarily around 3 in the early morning. At first, he worried that he might have a serious illness, but after a hospital examination, the doctor told him, "Smith, this is just a normal phenomenon due to decreased melatonin." The doctor advised him to reduce exposure to bright light 1 hour before bed by turning off all electronic devices, and even suggested trying a glass of warm milk to promote melatonin secretion. Mr. Smith tried it and indeed found that he no longer woke up frequently at night. Even though it still happened occasionally, his overall sleep quality noticeably improved. This shows that age and changes in melatonin indeed have a significant impact on our sleep. In addition to melatonin, another key factor affecting waking up in the middle of the night is the body's biological clock. You may not know it, but everyone has a natural timer inside that not only determines when we feel sleepy or energetic, but also constantly adjusts according to our environment and lifestyle. When we are young, this timer usually runs late, so you might be accustomed to feeling sleepy after 10 o'clock at night and waking up naturally around 6 or 7 in the morning. However, as you age, many people find that their original sleep rhythm quietly changes. You may start feeling tired as early as 8 or 9 in the evening and then become fully awake around 3 in the early morning. This phenomenon is known in medicine as advanced sleep phase syndrome, meaning that the biological clock of older people gradually advances, leading to an early-to-bed and early-to-rise routine. You might exclaim, "Have I become an early bird?" The answer is yes. This phenomenon is not isolated to a few cases, but is a common natural law. Many retired elders report that they increasingly prefer to go to bed early and wake up while it is still dark. That sense of quiet and pleasantness is hard to experience during the day. For example, Mr. Johnson, 68 years old, saw his lifestyle change dramatically after retirement. No longer bound by a fixed work schedule, he used to take brief rests amid his busy days. But now his dinner time is earlier, and he has even developed the habit of taking a nap in the afternoon. Naturally, he falls asleep early at night, and waking up around 3 in the early morning has become a common occurrence. Later, Mr. Johnson began trying to change his evening habits by choosing to read under soft lighting or chatting with family members, in an attempt to adjust his biological clock and slightly extend his sleep time. Although he still wakes up at that specific time, his mindset has become calmer because he understands that this is entirely his body adapting to a new rhythm. If melatonin and the biological clock are the main internal regulators, then the minor physical ailments and side effects of medications in our daily lives are more like uninvited guests. Many middle-aged and elderly friends may feel perfectly normal during the day, but when night falls and everything becomes quiet, those minor discomforts that are usually overlooked suddenly reveal themselves. Joint aches, acid reflux, leg cramps, or a sudden chill can all become the culprits behind waking up at night. Especially for older adults, frequent nighttime urination is a very common problem. As one ages, the elasticity of the bladder gradually decreases and the ability to control the urge to urinate weakens, leading to frequent trips to the bathroom at night. Once you get up and move around, the depth of your sleep is disrupted, making it difficult to return to the original state. In addition, some chronic diseases, such as high blood pressure, heart disease, or arthritis, require long-term medication, and these drugs can sometimes bring about side effects like dry mouth, frequent urination, or fluctuations in body temperature, inadvertently affecting sleep quality. Speaking of medication side effects, Ms. Wilson, 76 years old, who lives alone and has always been very attentive to her health, recently began waking up around 3:30 in the early morning. At first, she thought it was just a normal aspect of aging, but after a checkup, it was discovered that the diuretic she took at night was to blame. The doctor advised her to take the medication in the afternoon instead, so that its effect would diminish during the night. After making the adjustment, her sleep quality improved significantly. This example shows that minor bodily issues and medication side effects can inadvertently disrupt your entire night's sleep. In fact, besides the natural changes in the body, there are many seemingly trivial lifestyle habits that can affect the quality of nighttime sleep. Think back. Do you always have dinner very early? Do you habitually watch TV or doze on the sofa after dinner? These habits might not have been problematic when you were young, but as you reach middle age, with a slower metabolism and diminished digestive function, they can easily lead to low blood sugar or indigestion at night, making it difficult to continue sleeping. Mr. Brown, 74 years old, believed that eating early and sleeping early was good for health after retirement. He began having dinner at 5 in the afternoon every day, and after dinner, he had the habit of watching TV and dozing off. As a result, he quickly fell asleep at night, but was often abruptly awakened around 3 in the early morning. Later, Mr. Brown tried to adjust his lifestyle by delaying dinner slightly and avoiding watching TV at night. Instead, he chose to take a walk or read under bright lights. After a period of adaptation, his sleep duration gradually increased, and the occurrence of sudden awakenings at night was greatly reduced. In fact, each of our lifestyle habits quietly affects our body's circadian rhythm. Habits such as eating early and staying up late, staring at electronic screens for long periods, or engaging in vigorous exercise at night can all disrupt an otherwise stable sleep rhythm. Especially after retirement, when daily routines are no longer strictly bound by work schedules and time becomes more flexible, this freedom can ironically cause the body to lose its fixed rhythm, resulting in naturally waking up at a specific time, such as around 3 in the early morning. There's an old friend, Mr. Thompson, who used to think that the earlier you eat dinner, the better, but later discovered that his sleep quality was not ideal. After some experimentation, he began to adjust his meal and activity times. For example, he delayed dinner slightly and no longer sat in front of the TV immediately after dinner, instead opting for a walk or engaging in some light activities. Gradually, he found that not only did he fall asleep faster, but he also slept more deeply, and he felt more refreshed when he woke up in the morning. Sometimes, the wakefulness around 3 in the early morning is not entirely caused by physiological reasons. The stillness of the deep night often makes our inner selves extraordinarily sensitive. Perhaps the busyness of the day has masked many emotions, and when night falls, those suppressed thoughts, memories, and feelings surge like a tide, making it suddenly difficult to fall back asleep. Some people may think of distant loved ones, recall times long past, or even feel an inexplicable sense of loss and loneliness. Once these emotions overwhelm you, They force you to wake up from your sleep, and it becomes hard to fall back asleep again. Ms. Davis, 80 years old, whose husband passed away many years ago and has lived alone ever since, is busy during the day tending to her little garden, video chatting with her grandchildren, and watching TV without any problem. However, whenever the night deepens, she always wakes up around 3 in the early morning, overwhelmed by memories of warm times in the past and missing her loved ones. At first, she was very troubled by this, feeling as if invisible emotions were torturing her sleep. Later, she placed a small notebook by her bedside and wrote down her feelings each time she woke up, even recording words of those beautiful memories. Gradually, Ms. Davis discovered that this practice not only soothed her inner turmoil, but also helped her reconcile with the past, regaining a sense of inner peace and stability. In fact, the wakefulness in the deep night sometimes resembles a dialogue with one's soul. When you wake up, why not ask yourself, is there an unresolved knot or emotion that needs to be released? Perhaps you could choose to do some light reading, listen to some soothing music, or write down your thoughts. Many people have found that this method not only helps them face their inner loneliness more effectively, but also allows them to find that long-lost sense of calm when falling back asleep. As you can see, the reasons why middle-aged and elderly people wake up in the early hours are not singular. They're the result of multiple internal and external factors working together. First, as you age, the decrease in melatonin secretion makes it hard to maintain sleep in the middle of the night. Secondly, an advanced biological clock causes you to enter a wakeful mode much earlier. Add to that the interference of minor bodily discomforts or the side effects of medication, which greatly diminish the quality of your nighttime sleep. And then there are the seemingly trivial lifestyle habits, such as dinner time, ambient lighting, and changes in daily routine, which may invisibly affect your entire night's sleep. Finally, one cannot ignore that the inner emotions, memories, and loneliness that surge in the deep night can also interrupt your sleep at specific times, forcing you into a brief yet profound dialogue with your own thoughts. There's a retired gentleman, Mr. Jones, who always thought his sleep quality was fine, but recently discovered that every night around 3 in the early morning, he suddenly wakes up. He tried various methods, from adjusting his diet and changing his nighttime entertainment to using sleep aids, but nothing worked well. Eventually, he began to closely observe the details of his life and found that aside from physiological changes, whenever the night became quiet, he would unconsciously recall some long-buried past events and the faces and voices of his loved ones. So, Mr. Jones decided to place a soft night lamp by his bed, and each time he woke up, he would pick up a book he liked or jot down a few lines in a diary. Gradually, he discovered that this method not only helped him fall back asleep more quickly, but also soothed his inner turmoil. Mr. Jones' experience tells us that when facing early morning awakenings, rather than forcing an uninterrupted sleep, it is better to learn to accept and adjust your lifestyle, giving yourself more tolerance and understanding. Since there are so many reasons for waking up in the early morning, how can we better cope with it? First, we must recognize that this is not simply a sleep disorder, but a signal from both the body and the soul. With that in mind, consider trying the following methods to adjust and improve your nighttime sleep quality. Ensure that your bedroom is quiet, dark, and kept at an appropriate temperature. It is crucial for maintaining deep sleep throughout the night. Turn off all electronic devices an hour before bed. Dim the indoor lighting and use blackout curtains to block external noise. All these help create a comfortable sanctuary for sleep. Changing your dinner time and eating habits is also a good method. It is advised not to have overly greasy or excessive meals at dinner, to postpone the meal time appropriately, and to avoid caffeinated beverages before bed. A moderate walk after dinner can aid digestion and help your body relax gradually into sleep. For example, as in Mr. Brown's case, by adjusting his dinner time and incorporating moderate exercise, his sleep quality improved significantly. Engaging in moderate exercise every day helps regulate the biological clock and release the stress of the day. Whether it's a simple walk, practicing Tai Chi, or gentle yoga, all can promote physical health and improve sleep quality. At the same time, listening to soft music, doing deep breathing exercises, or trying meditation before sleep can help clear the mind and lay the foundation for a good night's sleep. If you find that many thoughts and memories surge when you wake up at night, consider carrying a notebook with you to record these scattered emotions. This not only lets you express what's on your mind, but also alleviates inner unrest and loneliness. Just as Ms. Davis did by writing in her diary, it not only soothed her emotions, but also helped her fall asleep more quickly. For those whose nighttime awakenings are caused by medication, it is very important to pay attention to the side effects and timing of your medication. As in Ms. Wilson's case, by adjusting her medication time, she not only avoided frequent trips to the bathroom at night, but also improved her overall sleep quality. Remember to regularly consult your doctor to ensure that the impact of the medication on your body is minimized. Sometimes, waking up in the early hours is not merely due to physical reasons, but may also be influenced by unresolved inner emotions. When confronted with sudden feelings of loneliness or sadness, try to relax, speak to yourself in a gentle tone, or even silently recite a few words of comfort to calm yourself down before slowly falling back asleep. In reality, we often regard waking up in the early morning as a sign of poor sleep or a decline in life quality. But looking at it from another angle, this is actually a brand new state of life and a spiritual opportunity. Perhaps we can see it as the body's gentle reminder that it's time to slow down and take care of ourselves. Every time you experience that brief moment of wakefulness in the early hours, it is actually a rare chance to listen to the true voice deep inside you and re-examine the gains and losses and emotional ups and downs of the day. Many friends who have weathered the storms of time say that they have learned not to worry about this natural phenomenon, but rather to view it with a more tolerant and gentle attitude. After all, everyone changes with time, and this is an indispensable part of life. As a wise person once said, sleep is not about the length, but about the tranquility of the heart. Once you learn to accept these changes and adjust accordingly, you will find that life is still full of warmth and hope. Let me share a few more stories from my friends. Perhaps you will find resonance in them. There was once a retired lady, Ms. Miller, who always considered herself a typical night owl. But as she grew older, she began to be forced awake around 3 in the early morning. At first, she was very confused and even worried that she might have cardiovascular or cerebrovascular disease. Later, after listening to her doctor's explanation, she realized that this was just a natural physiological phenomenon. Consequently, she began to try some small changes, soaking her feet in warm water before bed, adjusting the room temperature, and even doing some simple meditation exercises. After a few months, she found that not only did her sleep duration extend, but her mood became more peaceful, and she even started to enjoy that period of solitary tranquility. On the other hand, Mr. Anderson, after retiring, lost any sense of a fixed daily routine and often slept and woke up arbitrarily. As a result, he consistently woke up at the same time every night and found it hard to fall back asleep. After taking a friend's advice, Mr. Anderson began to establish a fixed daily schedule, having meals, exercising, and resting at regular times. Although it was a bit uncomfortable at first, over time he discovered that his body seemed to have adapted to this new rhythm, and the instances of unexpected awakenings at night gradually decreased. Mr. Anderson's example shows that adjusting one's lifestyle does not require an overnight transformation. With persistence, the body will eventually respond gently. There's also a friend who often shares snippets of his life on social media, Mr. Thompson. He frequently takes pictures of the misty nightscape outside his window when he wakes up in the early morning, capturing that sense of loneliness and tranquility. He says that although waking up at night sometimes feels a bit uneasy, it gives him a period of deep self-reflection. He even shared in a video, sometimes the silence of the early morning makes you feel more real than any bustling scene. These stories illustrate that whether the cause is physiological or emotional, waking up in the early hours contains an authentic experience of life, and how one perceives and handles that experience entirely depends on one's attitude and choices. After experiencing countless moments of brief wakefulness in the early hours, many friends have begun to explore a set of nighttime rituals that work for them. These rituals do not necessarily have to be complex. They mainly serve to allow you, during those few minutes of wakefulness, not to rush back into sleep, but rather to transition smoothly into the next sleep cycle through some simple activities. For example, some people keep a soft aromatherapy lamp by their bedside, accompanied by soothing music, and sit quietly for a while, allowing their thoughts to settle. Others prefer to write a few lines to record the scattered emotions in their heart, and some get up and walk to the window to gaze at the night, feeling the breath of nature. Through such rituals, not only can the fear of insomnia be reduced, but a sense of inner calm can also be cultivated, helping the body and mind transition more quickly into the next sleep cycle. You can also try to devise your own nighttime plan, such as keeping away from mobile phones, TVs, and other electronic devices 1 hour before bed, choosing a book you like, or listening to some soft music to help relax your mind. If you wake up and find your thoughts scattered, perhaps pick up a pen to record your mood and review it the next day. These simple actions may seem trivial, but they can add a sense of reassurance and stability to every night. When you suddenly wake up in the deep night, try to calm your mind and ask yourself, what can I do for myself tonight to bring inner calm? Perhaps a glass of warm water, a good book, or some simple breathing exercises. Do not blame yourself for a momentary wakefulness, nor force yourself to sleep through the entire night. After all, everyone's body has its unique rhythm. Finding a method that suits you is the key to truly enjoying the tranquility and warmth of the night. Friends, there are so many moments in life that are worth experiencing and cherishing. Even that brief moment of wakefulness around 3 in the early morning might be an opportunity for a conversation with yourself. By mindfully embracing that tranquility, you may discover that those seemingly uninvited awakenings actually contain unique wisdom and beauty. Let us no longer be troubled by this natural phenomenon, but rather embrace each night with a gentle and peaceful attitude, feeling the rhythm of life. Finally, I hope that today's sharing can bring you inspiration. Whether you wake up because of decreased melatonin, an advanced biological clock, minor bodily discomforts, or emotional fluctuations, please remember that all of these are natural and inevitable parts of your life journey. Learn to listen to your body's signals, adjust your lifestyle, and let every night be filled with meaning. That is the best care you can give yourself. May you find your own peace in every quiet night. May you greet each morning with energy and enthusiasm for a new day. Thank you for accompanying me to the end of this discussion, and I hope this article can provide you with practical help. If you have any insights or experiences, please feel free to share them in the comments so that we can explore and improve together.